A cordial greeting. Today is Monday, October 21st, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. At the time of recording this video, it is 6 p.m. local time in Cuba, where at this moment, the circulation center of what is now Tropical Storm Oscar is beginning to move again toward the waters of the Atlantic. It is forecasted to affect some of the southern islands of the Bahamas as a tropical storm. In the medium and long term, Tropical Storm Oscar will transition into a non-tropical system as it approaches Bermuda, where it may bring tropical storm conditions by the end of this week. Additionally, in this video, I will talk about the effects that will continue for eastern Cuba, parts of the Bahamas, and also for Bermuda. Briefly, I will mention the newly formed Tropical Storm Kristy in the western Pacific waters, just south of the states of Michoacán and Guerrero. In the final part of the video, we will discuss the Western Caribbean Sea region, where we must remain vigilant towards the end of the month due to the potential development of another tropical cyclone. Before talking about Tropical Storm Oscar, let's talk about Tropical Storm Kristy, which developed today in the western Pacific waters. It is related to the remnants of Tropical Storm Nadine, which crossed over parts of Guatemala and Chiapas. Once these remnants reached the Pacific waters, they found favorable conditions for cyclonic development. If we zoom in on the visible satellite image, we can see that Tropical Storm Kristy has a fairly large circulation and looks very healthy. It is projected to continue strengthening over the next few days and should intensify into Hurricane Kristy. Fortunately, as you can see in this animation, it is maintaining a westward trajectory, which will cause this cyclone to move away from the Mexican region without causing significant problems. Here is the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center. By the early hours of Wednesday, Kristy is expected to become a hurricane, and it is forecasted to maintain a westward track at least until Thursday, after which it will take a more west-northwest turn, fortunately staying over open waters of the Pacific. I repeat, it does not pose a threat to the western coast of Mexico. Now let's talk about Tropical Storm Oscar, which made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane over the province of Guantánamo in eastern Cuba. It has been slowly moving across Guantánamo and Holguín for about 24 hours and will soon exit again into Atlantic waters. As expected, the mountainous terrain of eastern Cuba has weakened the circulation of what was Hurricane Oscar, and it now has maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, 65 kilometers per hour. Rain has continued throughout the day over parts of eastern Cuba, where significant flooding and some wind-related damage have been reported. The rain and wind will now begin to move over parts of the Turks and Caicos Islands and southern Bahamas, where a tropical storm warning remains in effect. See the latest projections from specialized track models. Over the next 24 hours, Tropical Storm Oscar will move slowly north-northeast, and by Tuesday afternoon, it is expected to directly affect some of the southern Bahamas Islands. It will then accelerate towards the Atlantic waters, passing very close to or over Bermuda by Thursday morning. However, it is projected that as it moves northeast, it will undergo a transition to a non-tropical system, remaining relatively weak. The models project that it will pass over the southern Bahamas as a weak or moderate non-tropical storm when it crosses near Bermuda. Here is the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, with areas under a tropical storm warning, including the central and southern Bahamas and parts of eastern Cuba. The most significant effects in the Bahamas will be felt from Tuesday morning, extending into the afternoon. By Tuesday night, it will begin moving away from the Bahamas, eventually passing near or over Bermuda by Thursday morning. Let's take a look at some of the effects expected in eastern Cuba and the Bahamas. The American model projects wind gusts between 50 to 70 kilometers per hour could affect the southern Bahamas Islands, and still tonight, some areas of Holguín and Guantánamo provinces could experience gusts up to 60 or 70 kilometers per hour. So it is important for residents to prepare for these winds. Additionally, the rain that has fallen over eastern Cuba will continue tonight, with projections of 70 to 100 millimeters of additional accumulated rain over the next 12 hours and into tomorrow. In the southern Bahamas, 90 to 125 millimeters is expected, so caution is advised regarding possible flooding, particularly in eastern Cuba. By Tuesday night, tropical storm force wind gusts may affect Bermuda, with winds exceeding 80 kilometers per hour. This is why a tropical storm watch will likely be issued in the coming days. In addition to the windy conditions expected in Bermuda between Wednesday and Thursday, heavy downpours could leave 150 to 200 millimeters of rain, according to the latest GFS model projections. So it is important for Bermuda residents to prepare for windy and rainy conditions between Wednesday and Thursday. Before I go, I wanted to mention that starting this week, we will begin discussing the Western Caribbean region, where there is a risk of tropical cyclone development towards the end of October. As we discussed a few weeks ago, a favorable phase of the Madden-Julian Oscillation will be moving over the Caribbean Sea and Atlantic starting next week. This could lead to very favorable conditions for tropical cyclone formation, particularly in the western Caribbean Sea. In fact, some models are already showing chances of cyclonic development associated with a tropical wave moving through the Caribbean next week. For example, the European model ensemble already shows a 50% chance of development east of Nicaragua or north of Honduras. Although we should not worry about this area for the moment, it is important for residents of the Greater and Lesser Antilles, as well as parts of Central America and the Yucatán Peninsula, to stay informed. That said, there is no need to worry for now, as this is a long-term forecast, and much can change in the coming days. Nevertheless, I will closely monitor the evolution of different global model projections and keep you informed, so make sure to check if you're subscribed to my channel. Subscribe and don't forget to click the bell to receive notifications when I record new videos. Well, that's all for now. I'll be back tomorrow with a new tropical update. Goodbye.